Welcome to Paizo Live, our monthly fireside chat style show, where we bring our wonderful creatives on to tell you about what they're working on. I'm Maya, Paizo's community and social media specialist.
And I'm Rue, Paizo's marketing and media manager.
We are here to talk about all the fun things going on at Paizo, and we hope you are having a lovely Friday. So, why don't we talk about one of those lovely icebreakers we love to talk about at Paizo Live? Rue, what games have you been playing lately?
In terms of tabletop games, I actually am a player in a game of Murder in Metal City,
Oh, nice, nice.
which started last week. I'm playing a Kizar Solarian named Whose Bows Are Lit Within, or
Oh,
Bows for
incredible.
short.
Yeah, incredible.
And I'm very excited because for our home group, I'm a forever GM, so it's really exciting that
Oh,
I get to
wow.
play a
Is
character
this
for
one of
once.
the you can count on one hand how many times you've played a character, and this is one of the times?
Yeah.
Yay! All the forever GMs in the chat, we love you, we appreciate you. But also, hopefully, you can have some time to play because it's cool. How are you enjoying it so far? You said you started it, or
Yeah,
you're
we
like
just started.
okay?
So we just got through the reveal it's a murder mystery, so I'm
Right.
going to spoil the fact that a murder happens. Uh we we
Shaka.
got through the reveal of the murder happening. Like we did
Okay,
our character intros and like met up at the location, and then it was like, "Oh,
a
hello
murder.
Raiders. Welcome."
Yay! Hello.
All right, well, it's time for me to turn the tables on
Okay.
you.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What games have you been playing lately, Maya?
I have been kicking it old school. I don't know if this is old school because we've been playing on Discord, but I've been playing a lot of Mafia on Discord. Yeah,
Ooh.
classic game for a lot of gamers. I feel like a lot of people have played Mafia at least once. And a bunch of my friends online have just been playing Mafia on Discord, and it's been wreaking havoc, and my blood pressure will never be the same.
Are
Um,
you playing like play by post or like in voice
Yeah,
chat?
like straight up texting. Like we're texting. Yeah, and it's really stressful because they'll put like the time I was a mafia, they put the mafia in a separate server, and so then I have to go in the server and be like, "Oh, I want to kill this person," and then come back and be like, "I don't know what's happening." And like when I tell you I'm stressed, I'm stressed. Like I feel like my heart rate is up for like an hour afterwards, and it just stays that way. And I it's but and I every game I'm like, I'm not gonna play Mafia again. I'm actually so done playing Mafia.
I
Um
am so bad at being mafia whenever we play. I played at Champions Grove, which is kind of like D&D in a
yeah,
castle
right.
once. And I played mafia and I was the mafia, and my wife was not the mafia but was at the table.
Oh
And I
gosh.
like we ended up killing my wife as one of the characters, and I was like, I have to do this because if like it'll be
Right.
obvious if I don't.
Right.
And then we got around to like being like, well, who would it be? And Rena, who couldn't talk at that point, was like texting me like, I know it's you because I know you would kill me first because I can tell when you're lying.
Ah! So it's like double stress because you're like, okay, let me not enjoy this moment with my wife where she fully called me out correctly, but also you have to keep playing at the same time. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. My head would be spinning, but it sounds really fun.
Yeah,
Mafia is
but
always so fun, but so stressful.
so stressful.
Oh gosh.
Who are we bringing on to talk to other than us
Yeah.
today,
So
Maya?
today we're going to be talking to the lovely James Jacobs about Dawn of the Frogs. Yes, aka Pathfinder, Frogs, and More Frogs. We will also be talking to Dustin Knight about Starfinder GM Core, which just came out. Get excited. We're going to get you more excited when we talk about it. And we will also be talking to our favorite Joe Pasini about our Paizo games, Monster Match, and the upcoming Pathfinder Quest.
Speaking of Pathfinder Quest, for anyone who doesn't know, we're currently running a launch party on BackerKit before the project launches on September 16th. If you join the launch party, you get exclusive updates, trivia challenges, and a free exclusive metal coin with your pledge.
Ooh.
And I want to stress this, you only get the coin if you join the launch party before we start on the 16th.
Yes.
There's no other way to get it than that. So
Nope.
super important to pop in if you want that metal coin.
But it's
And
also super easy. All you have to do is go to the page and follow the page and join the launch party. And that's it. It's literally like 2 clicks if you count clicking the link in the first place. So 2 clicks, and then once you back the game, automatically get a metal coin. It's got a time dragon on it, so it looks super epic. You can use it as a hero point in your campaigns if you want to, because who doesn't love just using random coins that are cool as hero points in their campaigns? So there's no downside. Go join the launch party. Do it. It's going to be great.
We'll have a little bit more to say about Pathfinder Quest in a bit, but I'm going to fade off into the darkness and let you talk to James about Dawn of the Frogs.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Well, then I will go do that, and I will see you soon, Rue.
See ya.
Vibing. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Happy Friday.
Yay, it is.
James, what games have you been playing lately? Welcome to Paizo Live. We're talking about games.
The latest game is one where I get to be a jumpy, stabby bug lady. Silk Song, which of course just came out.
Incredible.
And I'm stealing that from anyone else in line who maybe also. I know there's a lot of, we have like in our little company chat, we've got a video game, among a bunch of other stuff, we've got a video game chat, and everybody was excited about Silk Song. So it's fun.
Jumpy,
you get to jump around and
lady.
stab. Yeah, it's glorious.
Are you using like, is the stabbing via bug means? Does that make sense? Is that like
she's got a needle?
Yeah, but
so like a big old needle.
Just like an additional needle to her bug means.
Yeah, I've only just started playing it. So I'm assuming there's going to be a wide range of weapons to find and all. I'm playing it on Xbox, so
already sounds pretty fun, to be honest.
Yeah, it's good times.
So we've got you here talking about the Pathfinder Dawn of the Frogs adventure. Can you, for those in the chat who aren't familiar with the adventure, can you tell us what Pathfinder Dawn of the Frogs is about?
Dawn of the Frogs is kind of like the reverse of what I'm normally working on, which is these adventure paths that cover 10 to 20 levels or whatever it is. There's a huge, giant storylines that take you months or years to play through.
Right.
Dawn of the Frogs is we're trying out something new. It's part of the Pathfinder game night line, and the idea is this was mostly the brainstorm of Jason Pullman, and he basically pitched this idea of like, let's do a game in a box where you basically just have everything you need to play an adventure right there in the box. You don't need to lug around all of these monster books and player core books and all of that stuff. Everything you need to play the game is in here. And the adventure itself, it's for first level characters. It's split into 3 parts. Each one of those parts is intended to be like something you play in a single night. Maybe about 3-4 hours, depending upon how long your players get distracted, role playing and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Always generate things.
Yep.
Yeah, so
feel free to add more role playing and take more time if that is what you would like to do. But it can be played in a couple hours as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like I guess the basic idea is like, this is something that, if you're at a convention or you're like, you and a bunch of friends are going out for like a cabin retreat over a weekend, or, it's after work and you just want to play something, or the GM like doesn't want to run something, but the group's still gathered. This is something you can just grab off the shelf. Everything you need to go is in there. And you're ready to go. Actually, not everything. You'll need pencils.
Oh, pencils. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
dice
you need some sort of writing utensil. But what is in the box?
Well, there's the adventure itself, which is a 32-page softcover book. There's a bunch of rules reference sheets, so you can pass those around to all the players and the GM, and that just has all of the handy little stuff like initiative and damage types and all this other just stuff you can reference, so you don't have to get your big old books out. It's got poster maps for all of the battles that take place in here. I don't want to spoil any of them, but there's 3 double-sided maps for all of the shenanigans. I guess that picture shows that there's a swamp and then there's a creepy windmill. So that's some of the maps.
Very cool.
There's a bunch of green frog-flavored dice, so green dice.
Nice.
And like character sheets, kind of like those kind of fold-out double-sized character sheets we had in the beginner box. We've got characters for the 4 iconics that feature in this one, which is the cleric, the fighter, the rogue, and the wizard.
Yeah, wizard. Yep, it's Ezrin. Classic.
Yep.
Classic.
Good, I remember. I remember right.
Quartet there.
Yeah. So you just pass those around to players, and you're ready to go. You don't even really need to to read the adventure beforehand if you're the GM, because we've got it set up so that every encounter is like on a page or 2 pages, and yeah, so it's
Perfect.
very minimal setup.
You
ready
can
to go.
just
So,
hop right in. I
hop like a
had to
frog.
say that. Nobody
Yep.
told me to. It came from
Yep.
my horrible mind.
Yep.
I did see also.
And you know, there might be total party croaks in here as well.
There might be. You know, there might be all kinds. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in pain, but it's so much fun. Someone in the chat did say, "Can we play it while driving to Gen Con?" Please don't do that. Please drive safely. Wear seatbelts. Don't throw dice while you're driving. Don't do that unless you're driving like a cool, fun, like gamer RV full of gaming people, and the driver is not playing Dawn of the Frogs, and only the people in the back of the RV are playing Dawn of the Frogs. But we do not condone gaming.
We don't include like Dramamine in here for getting car sick for reading and all that stuff when you're on the road.
Don't. It's not advised.
No.
But if it's something that you already do in your RV that is equipped to do so, please do. But other than that, please don't. Like, we want you to make it to Gen Con safely. Thank you so much. All right. So this is a Pathfinder game night product as well, you mentioned. This is something new for us. What does that mean? Like, what does a Pathfinder game night product mean on the product level?
So a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of our standalone adventures and adventure pass are big deals. I mean, they cover multiple levels, multiple sessions of play. They are many hundreds of pages long or more. And this is not that. This is not something that is meant to be a long expression campaign play type thing. This is not something where you make your own characters. You can, of course, if you want to, because it's a Pathfinder adventure when you get to it. Of course. But the idea is that this is basically just a quick and easy, fun way to just sit down and play Pathfinder. Maybe you don't have any of the stuff you want or need. Sort of an experiment with us, like trying to, like, as also we did with Murder Metal City, starting to do adventures in box set format, which is a different than, you know, doing it in just a hardcover book or softcover book. And the nature of it too makes it a really useful way to like introduce new players to Pathfinder, because it's got everything. There's no real buy-in. We did everything we could to keep it pretty inexpensive, relatively inexpensive. But, you know, you just need the one box. So if you got people who are familiar with like how role-playing games work, and you don't have to describe to them like what a hit point is or any of that stuff. A lot of folks now have gamers have the basics under their belts already. And so, yeah, even if you've never played Pathfinder, you can just sit right down and start playing with this.
We're getting our feet wet in game night. We know a lot of you, and us included, have game nights with our friends where we just want to, you know, sit down at a table and just pick up something quick. A campaign is not that. Campaigns are super fun, but they are not quick. They're a time commitment, and we love making those time commitments. But it's also really nice to have a faster alternative if you're just like, hey, I like frogs and it's Thursday. Let's get Pathfinder Dawn of the Frogs on.
And even with the beginner box, there's this kind of overwhelming potentially element of like, how do I make my own character? There's obviously pre-generated characters in the beginner box, but this one doesn't do that. You basically sit down, you tell the 4 players who you've gathered up, you want to play a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, or a rogue, and you give them their sheets and you're off and running.
And also
hopping,
it's got frogs. Often hopping. Often leaping. Frogging, and doing all of those things. What kind of elements are in this adventure? Like, or how did you decide on the theme as well? Like, do we have attacks and combat and things like that? Like, what's going on?
So I don't want to spoil too much.
Yes,
but
not too many spoilers.
It's basically, we wanted to focus in on the basic elements of what is Pathfinder, and that is basically fighting monsters. But there's also role-playing elements in here. There's a little bit of exploration. Here's a good fight where some heroes are being attacked by a giant slurk, saber-toothed frog. And really, it was Jason Bullman who, like I mentioned earlier, came up with this idea for a game night, game in a box, a night. He was the one that originally created the Boggards back in Pathfinder 2, way back in the day. And so he's always kind of like enjoyed frog. I was just about to say I was going to applaud Jason for not using skeletons in here, because he puts skeletons in every single thing he writes, but I forgot.
Never mind.
There may be skeleton stuff in here. I mean, he's got
Immediate
a skull.
never mind.
Yeah, that one boggard there's got a skull on a stick, so that
Skeleton
kinda
right
but anyway,
there. It's almost like it was right on cue.
Yeah. So Jason really built this to kind of introduce the concept of gaming, but really lean into like Pathfinder stuff with boggards and slurks and stuff like that. He split it into 3 chapters. The first chapter is very linear, so it's easy to get into, and you go from point A, B, C, D, E. There's fights, and there's traps, and there's situations you have to resolve and use you're thinking rather than you're stabbing to figure out. Part 2 gets a little bit more sandboxy, where you're presented with like there's a quest you got to go do in the swamp. We got to take a picture of that gnarly swamp that that this all takes place in.
Right.
And yeah, there it is. Very
nice. Thank
very
you so
nice.
much
With frogs.
With like maybe the most chill frogs in the game.
Yeah.
They're these frogs.
They're just doing their thing. But this one is like you got to go into the swamp and you got to accomplish several goals. The order in which you do these is up to you. And it's kind of introduces to the party like it's not always linear. Sometimes you get to make the choices. And then the third part is where you figured out what's going on. You know where the bad guys live, and you got to go to their fortress and stop them from doing the bad thing that they're doing. And that one takes the idea like you already have like the first linear dungeon that you went through, and the idea of like making your own choices on where do you go, combines us together and allows the players to basically say, we can either charge in the front door, or we can sneak around the side and climb up this tree, or we can like slip in under darkness or do this. It really gives the players a lot more versatility in how they want to accomplish things. Throughout all of these things, we introduce, combats and stuff like that. But a lot of monsters have weird things like, they have a disease bite, or they spit acid, or they have long, sticky tongue and stuff like that grabs you.
I mean, they must.
And absolutely. And so whenever we do those, we'll introduce that new rules element right there on the page with a little sidebar that says, this is how you do this. This is how you run that. And so as you go through the thing, you're incrementally learning new elements and deals that you have to deal with, things you have to deal with. Like the second one, there's the second encounter in the entire thing is I believe a skill check challenge where you have to roll skills to solve problems. And then going forward, it just kind of builds on that. So it's sort of a teaching by play sort of experience in that way. I see somebody mention Mabogos in chat. This is for first level. There are no Mabogos in this adventure.
No Mabogos.
Those are a bit too mean.
Too rough.
Yeah.
But so you said, there's a lot of player versatility, and then there's also a lot of making your own choices. And a lot of people who play Pathfinder are going to be familiar with those things. Yeah. But like, what are some of the best parts of this adventure for new players as well?
Well, like I was mentioning earlier, the fact that there's not really, once your GM has this, there's no buy-in. Buy-in is like you have 3 or 4 hours to hang out with your friends.
Right.
And you get everything you need, and it starts out simple and slowly builds a complexity of encounters so that you can learn how to, engage in a tabletop or role-playing game.
Right.
And there's a lot of another thing. I looked down there and somebody said asked if it came with foot mats. It doesn't come with foot mats. It comes with poster maps that are just on regular poster paper. But it also, I forgot to mention, does come with all of the pawns that you'll need to run the thing. So your little characters and all of the monsters that you're going to fight. So you can put them. It's very visual oriented.
They're already in the box.
Yeah, they're all in the box. So for new players, it's just all of that stuff right there in front of you, with all of the rules on the character sheets explained and everything like that, in a way that doesn't give you option paralysis. Like, if you don't have to decide, well, if I'm playing a rogue, do I fight with a knife or a dagger or a bow or do all these other different things? It's very user friendly, I guess, what I'm saying. So,
and certainly without like bringing down the people who've played Pathfinder before. Like, someone who's played Pathfinder before isn't going to be bored or anything. They're going to still see a lot of, like, what are some great things for those people who've played a lot of Pathfinder?
So this is set in the big swamp on the Isle of the Starfire Isle, Isle of Cortos, and so there's not a lot of like new world lore in here, but there's like, we threw in some little Easter eggs for people who are really familiar with the settings, like
Easter eggs.
There's it's really just for experienced players. I kind of think of it as like, this is a gaming vacation. Like, normally you'll like be going into your campaign if you're the GM doing a bunch of prep work. If you're a player, like, well, I need to build my character and all of that stuff. This is just basically a hop in and play Pathfinder when you didn't expect you were going to be playing Pathfinder 5 minutes before this opportunity struck. So, like I was mentioning earlier, the convention situation. This would be great to have at a convention, because like you get to the convention and you run into 4 friends you haven't seen in a year, and you're like, we have 3 hours to hang out or whatever after dinner. We didn't have anything planned. This is just a chance. Let's play Dawn of the Frogs, and you can just sit down and start going at it.
It seems this is what I like to call, and I don't know if this is like a commonplace phrase that people have in TTRPGs, but it feels for me like the Sessions beach episode. And when I say beach episode, I mean like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, when everything is terrible, but then they have that episode where they all go to the beach and they're just like, there's a little bit of plot stuff, but they're also just like breathing for the first time in like 4 seasons. And it like feels nice because you're doing things, but you're also like, we're throwing it out. We're not fighting Tree Razor today, but we're still fighting something that is interesting. Yeah, it's like so that kind of like vibe.
It is. There is a threat for this small town of Bog Bottom. It's not all happy and all of that. The original title for this was like Dirge for Dunmire or something like that. We changed it. That was a little bit too gloomy, but it's it's definitely a But the idea of like this
don't get too safe. You're having fun, safe. But don't get too safe.
You can still get eaten by frogs.
You can. What's that? The threat is low but never zero.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But with Pathfinder frogs.
Yeah. And there's more than frogs in here. I mean, it's obviously Dawn of the Frogs, and we've shown off a lot of frog art and stuff like that. But yeah, there's one thing we really did want to do is like make a variety of different types of fights and encounters and stuff like that. So,
it sounds awesome.
I don't want to spoil too much. For example,
I'm going to ask you for one specific spoiler, James. You can't give spoilers in the other part too. This isn't spoilers.
This isn't really a spoiler so much as like an example of like how we're presenting this stuff. There's a fight with a giant spider in this adventure, and giant spiders are like a staple of
classic like fantasy.
But it's also too big. Yeah, arachnophobia is one of the the most common phobia. A lot of people don't like it, like spiders. So we have it in the spider encounter. We got a little sidebar that says arachnophobia. If you got players who are afraid of spiders, you can still run this encounter, but instead this is like a giant newt, and it's got like a long slithery tail that it snaps at you instead of a web. It's climbing around in the tree, and it just talks not only about how you can reskin an encounter to make it more, palatable for players who, might be arachnophobic. But it also tells GMs that you don't have to do this exact encounter as it stands. You can change things without changing the rules. And you have permission to do that. You can basically say, like, this is a fight against a giant newt that spits out sticky slime from its mouth instead of spider webs. And the rules all stay the same, but the players never know that unless you show them the picture that we have in the book.
Don't show them that.
Don't show them that.
But that's still really great. I mean, we love respecting boundaries. We love a good trigger warning, and we love being able to still have fun without having to like lessen the adventure in any way. It's still a great 100%. Adventure. Nothing has been sacrificed. That's fantastic. So now you can give a spoiler. Can you give one fun spoiler about Dawn of the Frogs that people can look forward to? And I saw someone in the chat said they purchased it last night. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah,
James is about to give a spoiler. Can you give us one spoiler?
I'm always hesitant about giving spoilers to adventures because people get angry about that.
Then give a vague spoiler. Like maybe
spoiler.
Maybe it doesn't feel like a spoiler, but then when the maths later, they'll be like, oh, he told me this.
There is a specific demon lord that may or may not be involved with something going on in here. They don't show up because demon lords are a bit too powerful for first level characters. But those of you who know about boggards can figure out what I'm talking about. And so it's fun getting that sort of stuff out there just to for new players. It's like there's a bigger menace out in the world beyond what you're focusing with right here. But I mean, beyond that, like also we've said before, this is a new format for us. So please let us know what we're working, what
Yes,
works and what
please.
doesn't work. And it's something I would love doing a lot more of. I'm not allowed to say anything more than that, but
And tell us on the forums.
Yeah.
I'm basically the resident forum master
Yeah.
viewer person. So please tell us how you feel about Dawn of the Frogs on the forums. I will read all of the comments and I will pass them to James so we know what's going on. We want to know how this all works. So thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you so much, James, for talking to us about Dawn of the Frogs. It sounds awesome. If you like frogs, play it. If you don't like frogs, play it anyway, because there are ways to still play Dawn of the Frogs even without frogs, miraculously enough. And this is a perfect game for you to pull up from game night. Just have a lovely session with your friends, learn about Pathfinder, or if you're familiar with Pathfinder, drop into the Pathfinder world in the quick game setting. It's super great for that. So right now, we are going to transition over to talk to Rue and Dustin about GM Core from Starfinder's second edition. And we will see them in just a minute. And thank you once again, James. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Good luck with your spiders and frogs.
In the aftermath of the War of Immortals, two find themselves at odds over the fate of a third country. The occupation of a small town by ruthless Hell Knights and the surprising execution of a beloved retired general leads to a declaration of war between the democracy of Andoran and the fiendish Cheliax. This event, known as the Hellfire Crisis, threatens to engulf the other nations surrounding the Inner Sea as Andoran and Chelaxian forces clash along their shared border and elsewhere. Brave soldiers and mighty heroes will be called to fight on the front lines, smuggle supplies to places in need, influence politicians, generals, and thwart the plots of nefarious spies. Pathfinder Battlecry gives you the tools to set your campaign during a time of war. Conquer the battlefield with new classes like the Commander, a tactical leader with unparalleled knowledge of war, and the Guardian, a defensive powerhouse who can withstand any blow. In addition, you can meet the new Jotun-born ancestry, giants from another plane who act as custodians for the mortal world, along with battle-focused archetypes, gear both magical and mundane, and spells and rituals for any war. You can use the new skirmish warfare rules to lead friendly troops into the fray and fight alongside them. With Pathfinder Battlecry, the world of Pathfinder is going to war, and it's your time to report for duty. Once you've sent your characters through boot camp, explore the impact of the Hellfire Crisis through several exciting adventures, or read one of our pieces of fiction set during this war, and keep your eyes on the horizon for more to come. Whether you engage with the Hellfire Crisis or start a different world-shaking war in your own campaign, it's time to heed the battle cry.
The veil between worlds is thin here. Whatever came through, we need to be careful.
Scanners indicate a large biomass behind that corridor. Likely our target.
Day. Check. Take left. Zamir and Isef. Flank right. Obo and I will come down the center.
Finally! I've been itching for some adventure in this boring old museum.
Hop it around. Ison, what would you like to do?
Blast off into the future with Starfinder 2nd Edition, the newest science fantasy RPG from Paizo Incorporated. Choose from 6 classes. The magical mystic, the charismatic envoy, the stealthy operative, the heavy-hitting soldier, the cosmic-powered Solarian, and the paradoxical witch warper. Whether you're looking for a high-tech, high-octane adventure, a lighthearted spacefaring journey through the cosmos, a dystopian cyberpunk city crawl, or delve into the horrors of deep space, Starfinder 2nd Edition is the perfect system and setting for any science fantasy campaign. Starfinder 2nd Edition is built on the same 3-action economy engine as Pathfinder 2nd Edition, making both games mechanically compatible. Crash a starship full of alien threats into your Pathfinder campaign, or send your Pathfinder heroes through space and time to face intergalactic forces. Your options are as limitless as the universe with Starfinder 2nd Edition. Welcome to the next generation of science fantasy gaming.
Hello! Welcome, Dustin!
Greetings!
Sorry, I was not expecting the full look that you have going today. It's really quite amazing.
Well, I couldn't find my green screen, so I'm here in my normal office for once. You know, just chilling here on the Aeon throne, looking at spreadsheets, doing good.
What's the weather like on the Aeon throne today?
Purple.
Well, who do I have the joy of being met with today from the Aeon throne? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, greetings. I am Dustin Knight, Starfinder designer.
Welcome, and we like to start things off here with a little bit of an icebreaker. So what games have you been playing lately? Although I hear from the last segment, none of us are allowed to say Silk Song because Jacobs took it. So
okay, well, I am playing a silk weaving Anandi. So I was invited to a Shades of Blood game recently, and we got through our session 0, and I'm going to be playing an Anandi Solarian, who is taking the Starlit Sentinel archetype. So a very time-shifted adventure using a lot of content from both Starfinder and Pathfinder.
that's really awesome. I forgot to mention it earlier when I was talking to Maya. In my Murder in Metal City game, we have an investigator. So we have all Starfinder classes and then one investigator, which is exciting. But the way that we do those kinds of things and mix Pathfinder and Starfinder is because the two systems are mechanically compatible now, and we're here to talk about GM Core. So in case someone doesn't know what comes in GM Core, what is the sort of like, what are the contents of this book? Who's it for?
Well, I like to think GM Core is for everyone, but GM Core is for GMs looking to design their own Starfinder 2e game. Campaign. It includes everything you need to make a new game, new subsystems, variant rules, new world creation rules, things like new environmental features like gravity well, new hazards like quantum clone, new afflictions like social media addiction, Lots of new advice on building your science fantasy campaign setting. So, like, what's the difference between having like a heliocentric system or not? Do you want air in space? Some science fantasy does that. Go for it. Here's how it could work. In addition, there's lots of details on our own Pact World settings, which is the primary setting for all of our published Starfinder adventures.
One of my favorite things is that a lot of the, like, because we had the whole Galaxy Guide come out back in May before the system launched, so everyone had a setting primer, but there's also new information and information about those worlds in GM Core as well. So if you didn't have a chance to pick up Galaxy Guide and you can only get one book on your Starfinder GM wish list this September, GM Core still gives you that background information on the Pact Worlds, which is awesome.
Right. And like they said in chat right now, yes, flagship players will definitely want this book. It has afflictions like radiation that you will need to use to various radiation effects. It also has vehicles, which you will need if you want to make the best use of your piloting skill.
I'm actually going to skip in my little slideshow because you've mentioned vehicles. And I would love to talk about the vehicle subsystem and specifically what's happening here with Day and Obadiah.
Oh, well, they're racing. You could use vehicles to race or chill or have fun. You could also use them in encounters. In fact, in our little staff game, one of our players at level 1 started with a hoverboard, which are perfect for level 1 characters. They don't break the bank completely. They're only like 90 credits. And they have this ability called portable. So like you could be in a 5-foot hallway with them, even though they're a vehicle they use the piloting skill with. So they're perfect for adventurers who don't want their vehicle to only be most accessible on literal roads.
Is Obadiah holding a sandwich?
Looks like it. Yeah.
I don't think the tomato asterisk is making it with her.
Yeah. Just it's a space tomato. It'll be fine. It might land in the water near some land, and some Xeno-Wardens might get upset, but it'll be fine.
In terms of the vehicle subsystem, because I know some of the structure in this book is based off of the Pathfinder subsystem structure.
Right.
What elements will people see in the Starfinder vehicle structure that are new versus what will they see that's familiar from Pathfinder?
That is such a good question. So all the vehicles are new. There's everything from hoverboards to drop ships to forklifts.
I was not ready for you to say forklift.
Oh, we love the forklift. There's so many maps ever in a forklift in it. We were like, we need stats for a forklift for when PCs are like, can we get in the forklift? Oh, what does the forklift do? Yeah, and in addition, there's like new rules on like their propulsion and how that works, because there's different kinds of propulsion. And I like to point out that the internal combustion engine uses the same chem as your flamethrower. So if you run out of fuel, you could use your flamethrower. If you run out of flamethrower fuel, you could just pull it out of the gas tank, I guess. So that's kind of fun.
Tank.
Right. And you could use piloting for all the vehicles. You could use other skills depending on the vehicle, but piloting is the default for any vehicle. You could fly it. It's great.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for letting me skip around and segue. But going back into my actual sort of layout for this, we mentioned subsystems and we've talked about vehicles. What other subsystems are in this book that are sort of like, first give me a walkthrough of ones that folks who have GM'd Pathfinder might be familiar with, and then we can talk about the Starfinder specific ones.
Okay, well, yeah, there are the Pathfinder subsystems that you'll be familiar with, such as influence, research, chases, infiltration. Technically, vehicles are very similar, but not the same. And these all have, you should read these even if you know them, because there's new information in there about how to work these systems, keeping in mind the differences between science fantasy and fantasy. Like there's all new obstacles in the chases, for example. Things like that that'll help you use them in your Starfinder 2nd Edition campaign.
That's very cool. And now the question of the hour, what about the new subsystems in the Starfinder GM Core?
Yes. Well, the first one we designed was the hacking subsystem. Our goal for that was to make sure we didn't have a system that would effectively be one player doing everything. Like okay, who has the highest computers check? Okay, you get the stage for 15 minutes. We'll all sit in the bus and wait. No, this is takes a lot of research from real world hacking to effectively go through rounds in which the entire party could help find a computer's vulnerabilities, countermeasures, disable those countermeasures, and then finally try to actually hack the system. But it's not always just computer checks. It is a skill encounter, so you could use any items or class features or spells you have that you think might work. In addition, you could do things like call the tech support line and use deception and be like, yeah, I'm totally the CEO of this company. Please give me password. You can use thievery and try to steal a comm unit from somebody who has higher level access than you need to break into this server. It really delves into everybody being able to participate in the subsystem. And you'll even notice one of the sample computers is a magic computer. It's an Aeon Stone that you don't even use computer stack into. It's magic, so you're using your magic skills to go right into that. So computer can be a versatile term.
Someone in the chat has said, quick, search for a post-it note with their password on it.
Yeah, sure.
Finally, a use for my really high perception score when I'm bad at computers.
Right?
I'm looking for a post-it note.
Yeah, we have a huge list of different different vulnerabilities and countermeasures and example skills you could use for them. So even if you're just on the fly, you could just quickly look back there, think about what skills your party has, and grab the ones you like, throw them into your computer, set the DC based on level, and you're good to go. You could have a bio break and spend 5 minutes quickly throwing the computer together before the PCs even know you didn't plan for them to break into the server.
That's amazing. And also, as a forever GM whose party are the kind of people who will be like, never mind, I'm breaking into wherever instead of where you've clearly told me to go. I appreciate that it is quick to like run for GMs. I have had to change pivot entire sessions on the fly sometimes, so I super appreciate the work that you and the team have done to make it easier for GMs for the hacking subsystem, and also making it so that people can participate. I also would like to take one moment to appreciate these little creatures that we have on the screen.
Yes, we fought many a Glitch Gremlin during the playtest, and they're still up to their no good glitchiness.
Their evil little glitchy ways.
Exactly.
Something else that I know a lot of folks have been excited about for the coming of GM Core is cinematic starship combat. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, cinematic starship combat is another great example of a system that works best for GMs when the PCs do something they didn't expect. It's also great if you want to plan it out in advance. Both ways are great. It's very much inspired by the system that our longtime fans will know from Starfinder Enhanced, in which instead of having like exact distances between you and the opponent's starship and exact like spending time upgrading your starship and whatever, it's a lot more just throw the PCs into the ship and go. It's a skill challenge based way to resolve starship encounters. I personally like when we're first designing it, my first thought was this would be great like for just jumping onto a turret while you're on a large capital spaceship, or even just being part of a smaller portion of a giant fleet battle. But there's a ton you could do with it. The examples you can see are very varied. It's easy to use and set up. And super, super fun.
Can you take a minute and talk about the sort of like ship roles? Because I know that's one of the things about cinematic ship combat is that there are different sort of like stations that a person can
Correct.
do?
Yeah. We have some common roles put in here in addition to kind of ideas you could get for making your own, depending on your campaign, your setting, and your adventure. But the captain, who gives speeches and demoralizes enemies, the engineer will help keep the ship running when you take damage, when you encounter an obstacle that requires crafting or computers checks to keep the ship going. Gunners, that's standard. You roll attack rolls, you blow stuff up. Magic officers, if you want to do rituals to make everyone else's day a little easier, or even heal people, because a lot of times you could get damaged during a starship encounter if an obstacle hits the ship. Pilots move the ship, direct its course. They're going to be the ones dodging asteroids, whatever. And the science officer is another traditional role from Starfinder 1E, where you scan enemy ships and scan incoming kaiju to look for their weak points or things like that.
Very cool. And I love that you all have found a way to sort of like take some of those elements from first edition spaceship combat and bring them into starship combat in 2E. I think that's a really cool thing that you've done.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
There's lots of stuff in GM Core. We haven't even scratched the surface of all the things that are in there. But it's my job to ask you what your favorite part of GM Core is.
Can I give 2 answers?
You can give 2 answers.
Okay, so one is kind of it's a variant rule, not a subsystem, which are 2 different things. We have a number of variant rules in this that I was really excited to help work on. We have some of the standards you'll remember from PF2: automatic pronus progression, free archetype, level 0 characters, proficiency without level. Those all work great in SF2. In addition, we have Ancestry Paragon from the first printing of the GM Core in PF2, expanded space rules, galactic hero points, which help you not roll lower than you initially rolled, and skill paragon, which is something you need to work with your 3 players to find skills that match their characters' themes to give them bonus feats related to that skill and automatic progression in that skill. But the expanded space rules are the ones I'm really excited to talk about, which it was so much fun reading all these fun books and articles and watching videos on how weird zero gravity is and how weird vacuums are on physics. Stuff like when you light a match in space, the heat just goes everywhere. So it doesn't really create a flame, things like that. And it's so neat imagining what that could do for a tabletop game. But it's a lot. Like measuring velocity and thinking about all these subsystems. It makes underwater combat look easy. So these are optional advanced space rules, whether your players are really like physics and just want to float around in space, or whether you're only using space once or twice and you want to make it really high verisimilitude. You could kind of pick and choose these rules a la carte, whichever ones feel like they make sense for your game. Feel free to adjust them as you see fit for your players, but it's just some ways to get the GM's mind rolling, thinking about ways they can make zero gravity and or vacuum combat more engaging and interesting.
That's really cool. You're bringing the hard sci-fi elements into science fantasy if you want to,
right.
Which is
we did have to cut the retching in space. What happens when you throw up in a spacesuit? Because that's just not. We only have so much room. 1 and 2, it's gross.
Well, I'm sorry you had to cut that, but there's a really big question mark at the end of that. I'm sorry. Like, let's be clear.
It's also incredibly unbalancing and dangerous to just like, you're blind now because you were sickened.
Ooh. What is your other favorite thing? Since you said you were going to give us 2.
Anachronistic Adventures, chapter 5 in that book, is an absolute hoot. It was what I was looking forward to writing the most. This art piece here with Oboziah and Miri back to back against Aeon Troopers and Sin Spawn. I just writing that piece, I was like, I could think of like 8 people I need to send this to the second this book comes out. So I absolutely love it. I was so thrilled to be able to see the Pathfinder iconics like this. And anyway, that's a little bit too personal. This section is really cool. It teaches GMs, gives them guidelines and ideas for how to incorporate Pathfinder elements into your Starfinder campaign and Starfinder elements into your Pathfinder campaign. It discusses the differences between the class assumptions, the meta assumptions, how you could adjust potential classes and ancestries for stuff like you could fly at level 1 in Starfinder, or that's a huge one. Or you will probably want technology. Yeah, you could get dark vision for relatively cheap, so it's not as high value in Starfinder, so to speak. You could have a flashlight. Plus, yes, there's guidelines on anachronistic gear and anachronistic creatures, such as the really cool, we have an example here of a dragon as one of the most common advice we give when converting creatures from Pathfinder 2 to Starfinder is you could always put a laser cannon on it. Because yes, everyone is flying, so it becomes a little bit easier to kite creatures around. Obviously, dragons have wings; they could fly and chase you around fine. They're okay, but why not give it a laser cannon as well? Why deny the dragon the laser?
He
cannon?
deserves it.
He deserves it.
it's a tough life being a diabolic dragon. Why
Right.
not get cybernetic attachments?
Right. You could only breath weapon so many times per combat. So let's just give him a laser cannon. That's perfectly fine. Apologies. Yes. I personally can't wait to hear about how players fared either bringing Pathfinder characters into Starfinder or Starfinder characters into Pathfinder, running published adventures with one or the other, seen it myself when I play Shades of Blood. It's going to be really fun, and these guidelines hit a lot of points that I didn't think about until they were brought up during team meetings. Speaking with some of the greatest adventure authors I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and asking them questions on what things come up and what things we need to look out for. Yeah.
We're about out of time for our segment, but I must ask, and I guess it's kind of hard for a rule book, but can you give me a spoiler to end off of our segment?
I could tell you that there's an affliction called non-disclosure agreement, but I can't tell you anything else about it, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Dustin, and we will see you back here for the Q&A at the end. But for the moment, we are going to have a brief commercial break and then hand it off back to Maya and Joe to talk about Pathfinder Monster Match. So I will see you in a little bit. Bye.
In the nation of Shenmin, spirits and monsters stalk the depths of Specterwood, and ghost towns outnumber those inhabited by living souls. But this was not always the case. Over 100 years ago, the Age of Lost Omens began in Tian Sha with the collapse of the mighty Lunghua Empire, an event that left the small towns of Shenmin isolated and forced their citizens to become self-sufficient or fall to ruin. Willow Shore was one such town. Founded to support the construction of a remote mountain monastery, Willow Shore soon transitioned over to a lumber town, and like so many others, it was forced to fend for itself in the years after the Empire's fall. Not 2 years later, the records speak of a mysterious curse that fell upon the town, and while details of what took place have been lost to time, the events of Willow Shore's Season of Ghosts will now be told. The Season of Ghosts begins during the first days of summer, and is a time when the unquiet spirits of Specterwood grew particularly restless. The townsfolk of Willow Shore celebrate this with a night of feasting on the last day of spring, but when a group of heroes wakes the day after, they find their hometown under siege. Fog shrouds the town, and the night sky shimmers under the light of a crimson moon, and monsters now stalk freely through the town's streets. While defending the monstrous invaders and lighting the town's protective eternal lantern could restore Willow Shore to safety, these invaders and strange manifestations are only the beginning, as walls of ghostly shapes rise in the surrounding woods. The town of Willow Shore has become cursed, and its people must band together if they are to survive the coming year and the horrific monsters they will face. Can the town's newest heroes save their homes, family, and themselves? Or will the Season of Ghosts mean the end for them all?
Welcome, friends, to the Greenwood Gala, where all the people of the forest, even talking animals like me, come together to celebrate everything wonderful about nature. We get to know each other, have fun, and respectfully share ideas. Here in the Verduran Forest, the Treaty of the Wildwood protects nature. It lets our neighbors harvest a few trees, conserve the rest, and all in all keeps everyone peaceful, warm, and happy. This is a pleasant place, full of wonder, where everyone gets along. Wait, what's that? Well, I mean, the treaty keeps the arboreals happy, so they would never... Oh, nope, they look angry. Surely the Fae of the forest understand that... Oh, this isn't good. I can't remember the last time that... Oh no! Everyone needs to hold up for a minute. We can talk this through. Wait, no, not like that. Okay, the Verduran Forest is always fun and cheery, but this is getting out of control. Get some negotiators. Meet with the lumberjacks and druids. Smile a bunch. No, this is not how we're supposed to negotiate. This shouldn't be happening. We're supposed to be gathering, sharing, having fun. And now, everyone's tearing apart the treaty. Maybe we need some new faces. Some fresh ideas. Someone who's gonna make things right. Hey, maybe some Wardens of Wildwood.
I was muted, and now I'm not muted anymore. Welcome back to Paizo Live. It's still me. I'm talking, and you can actually hear me. I've got Joe with me. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm not panicking. I'm lead designer for Paizo Games, and happy to be here.
Yay, welcome. Thank you for being with us, and sorry for my technical difficulties. I was just trying to make sure when I sneezed, it didn't show up in the middle of the Wardens of Wildwood trailer.
What a trailer, though.
So good. Alrighty, so we're here to talk about Paizo games, and especially two games in particular that are coming up. The first one we're going to talk about is Monster Match. So for anyone who hasn't heard about Monster Match yet, can you tell us what this excellent game is?
This excellent game is a monster dating game for 2 to 6 players, and you are going to compete with your friends to win the best romantic monster match among 20 different monsters, which we can take a look at here. I think at least one or two of them.
But do go on.
So we have our Oni here.
Look at those boots.
She's the bat also. Is that a good sign when they bring that on a date or not? I don't know.
Always a good sign.
And basically, each monster is going to have, and each player is going to have a set of preferences that have to do with different dimensions of personality and interests, and they correspond to the letters of match, hence the name Monster Match.
Yes.
So mischief is M, and A is adventure, and T is thoughtfulness, and so on. And one of them will be known to you. You'll know what their preference is for the Oni, for instance. You know that she really likes high hedonism. She's big on hedonism. The H. And so if you happen to match with that, that's great. You're on your way to being a perfect match. Now we have this distinguished gentleman, our boggart. Grip Blick, who is actually, weirdly is not big on charisma. I think maybe he's got enough charisma to cover for everyone and doesn't really need somebody.
I'm kind of obsessed with that. I'm kind of obsessed that he looks like he would be really charismatic, but he walks up to you and he's like, "Hi," and then he just hops away.
Yep. and so, yeah. So we'll know one of their preferences, but then the rest will be randomized with tokens and face down. And the way to find out more about your monster matches, your potential romantic candidates, are by taking them on dates, for one thing. So we have, I think, an example of a date, which is, in a very meta way, a board game. And some eagle-eyed viewers might recognize this board game as a Paizo game board game, which is called Elemental Stones, that also exists in the world of Pathfinder. And you can see this board game is great for people for your monsters who are low on thoughtfulness and charisma, which is kind of a dig on board gamers, I have to say, but that's just how it is.
But it's a it's self-read,
yes, it's a
because
self-read.
that's all of us. We're just
Exactly.
being self-aware.
Yeah. And so this would actually be a good date for our friend the Boggart, because we know that he likes low charisma stuff. Now, we would also flip over his thoughtfulness token and see, does that match his preference or not? Because again, that's going to be random each game.
Right.
And if it matches, then we'll put an extra heart on his character card. And the more hearts you get, the better off you're matching with that character. And you're basically taking people on dates, giving them gifts. Also, I think we have an example of a gift.
Cute.
Snake oil in this case, which I think is a very cute
that's so cute
illustration.
Yes, please reveal snake oil. Absolutely adorable.
And if you little snake bottle with the cork, and it doesn't do anything, but it's pretty. But
it's so pretty.
And this is a good example of if it turns out that our Boggart friend has a low thoughtfulness preference, then they will also like the snake oil and we'll get another heart with them. So you'll start the game with some random monsters from 20 possible monsters, and you will take them on dates. On your turn, you'll pick a date that's available and take one of the monsters on it, learn more about them, whether you match with them, and then possibly give them a gift. And then at the end, you will see who has the best match. And you can use the hearts that you've built up with the character to change a mismatch into a match. So kind of smooth over those parts where you don't quite align,
like fix first impression.
Exactly.
Ew.
And so it's meant to be a very quick and light game that's full of like fun and weird stuff, like taking a giant apple picking and like going axe throwing with a genie and that kind of thing. Like, okay. So you're meant to kind of bring your own stories to this pretty light and fun and quick. It's like maybe 20 minutes to play. Again, two players, so you can kind of scales to your group size nicely. And yeah,
this already sounds really fun and cute. What are some fun stories from playtesting? Can you tell us what fun did you have creating monsters or creating some of the date scenarios?
So Michelle Kim did a great job of picking most of the monsters and writing up awesome little profiles for each of them that are on their cards, which are all very cute and
shout out to
Michelle.
Michelle is awesome.
Yep, Michelle's the best. And then Eleanor helped with some of the art orders, which make just looking at the game a lot of fun.
Shout out to Eleanor. Eleanor is also awesome.
And I think one of my favorite moments was while we were playing with a couple people, Jason Bowman, who's the director of games at Paizo,
right.
And I ended up competing over the genie's affections and just kind of had a little back and forth there where I was pretty well matched with the genie, Zachy, and he was kind of like, we were vibing, and then Jason decided to come in and like drop all these dates and gifts and things.
Oh my god!
Kind of try to steal them away from me, and then meanwhile somebody else won because they
oh my god,
much better.
A complete other third party.
Yeah, they did not with the genie. They matched better than we did with someone else.
Someone else. Oh wow! A third and fourth party swept in to steal the show.
So there was a little bit of drama, which is fun, I think. For a game like this. Yeah.
And so you said how many monsters are there? There's 20?
There's 20 monsters. There's 40 dates, I want to say, that you can take them on, and 20 gifts you can give them.
It's a lot of gifts.
Yeah.
Do we have any more pictures of any of these monsters, or did we show them all? We showed them all. Well, let's show. I believe the chat called him Don Frago. Let's show Don Frago one more time, simply to emphasize that his new unofficial name is Don Frago, and that he, for some reason, has less charisma than you think, which I think is just who doesn't love twists and turns?
Exactly.
We're Paizo. We present you twists and turns in all of our games. You're very welcome.
And the list of monsters is just a lot of fun. There's all kinds of, there's like a sort of Frankenstein's monster in there. You got your vampires, your ghosts. We went through a lot of the traditional stuff. But you also have like a sexy tree person.
Incredible.
So that's cool.
Incredible. When does this come out? Also, when can people?
That's a great question, and I know the
get
answer.
excited?
And I'm going to say it's October.
Cool.
And I hope that we have a link to it, but I didn't prepare.
Just in time
How was I to know?
For Halloween.
Yes, exactly. Once we kind of saw where it was going to slot in on the schedule, we're like, yep,
Mhm.
that's kind of perfect.
We did the monster match.
Mhm.
The monster match. Twitch, don't sue us. So yes, we're gonna have a lovely time in October with Monster Match. It's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to play it. Like, I've been dying to play it. There are many employees who have it already, and I'm like, but what about me? Like, I want to play Monster Match. So hopefully everyone in the chat is just as excited as I am to play this game. The characters look incredible, and the dates are could go great, could go wild. Tell us about it, please, in the forums. Tell us about all of your monster match encounters that you're having, because I just want to hear about it. Oh, I don't know. Does this game have any spoilers? Can you give us a spoiler? Is that a thing? I guess spoil one of the dates, maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
There's something I kind of want to share.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That we could call a spoiler, I guess,
Totally.
which is each of the monsters has one of the dates that they really like going on and one of the dates that they really don't like going on.
Oh, wow.
So regardless of their other preferences, even if it would match normally, if they really like it, you'll get an extra heart with them. And if they really don't like it, and we kind of got goofy with these in a fun way, I think. Like the Dillahan, which is the sort of headless horsewoman type person who carries her own head around, she doesn't like going bowling. And I feel like that kind of fits. Like she's already holding something in her hand that's like ball shaped, and probably
I was
gets
already
comments
so
at the
excited
alley.
for this game. I didn't think it was possible for me to get more excited for this game.
And
I
then,
just did in real time. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joe.
One more. The Sphinx.
One more.
The
Keep
Sphinx
it going.
Likes trivia night, and I just think that's awesome because
incredible.
Like, why wouldn't they like answering questions?
A bunch of fun gaming nerds made this game, you guys.
Yes.
We made it for game nerds just like you, and you should play this game. I am not just saying that as an employee of the company. I am saying that because don't you just love being game nerds with your game nerd friends? Play this game. Alrighty. And what else have we got coming up? Oh yes, we've got Pathfinder Quest coming up, of course.
Did you forget about Pathfinder Quest?
Absolutely not. I close my eyes and Pathfinder Quest is tattooed on my eyelids. Joe, please tell us about Pathfinder Quest. What's going on with it?
So that is a 1 to 4 player cooperative adventure game that comes with a whole bunch of cool stuff. It is a game that revolves around exploration and combat, and putting out these map tiles and building out areas as you explore them. It's a lot about character choice. You can build your own characters or use pre-constructed characters. It takes a lot of inspiration from the Pathfinder role-playing game, of course. It's set in the same world, and there's a lot of things that if you play Pathfinder role-playing game, you'll recognize. Like, for instance, in combat, you have 3 actions, go figure. But you don't need any experience with the role-playing game to play the board game. We made it first and foremost for board gamers to tell a sort of campaign long story made up of multiple adventures, and you're going to pick your path through those adventures. You're going to play different ones depending on your choices. I could go on forever about it. I think you said this doesn't last forever, right? The stream technically is limited in time.
But we do want to, we have several minutes to talk about how great it is. So yeah, I mean, go on at least a little. We've got Loremonger the 13th who played it at Gen Con and had a lovely time. So yeah, let's get everybody as hype as Loremonger the 13th.
Thank you so much for playing. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. So there's hundreds of cards. There's class cards when you pick a class. So character creation is very fast. You're picking basically your ancestry and background in sort of one package, which might be like a dwarf blacksmith or something. And then you're going to pick your class, which is fighter, rogue, cleric, or wizard.
Classic quartet.
At launch. And you will then be off to the races. We actually made the game so that you start playing right away. You don't have to read all the rules. We do the tutorial adventure where you can kind of just, once you made your characters, or just use a pre-made character based on one of our iconic characters, which is on the box there. You can then just start playing right away. You'll learn what you need to know as you need to know it. Also, setup is pretty fast. You are, like I said, you're going to be kind of building out maps as you play, so you don't need like all the pieces before you start playing each adventure.
Yep.
There's
a nice, lovely image of the game.
Oh, that is nice.
Rue took these great pictures. They look incredible. You can see the pawns there of the iconic heroes and some of the dice as well, and the map tiles you're talking about.
Yep. Tons of pawns. And yeah, the custom dice are basically you're just going to roll these custom D6s and count your successes a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. They also have stars and skulls on them, which correspond to extra good things and extra bad things happening. Again, there's no like game master of any kind. There's an adventure book that tells you kind of how to lay out the adventure, and then when you try things, maybe you're trying to sneak into a room or go down a hallway, or look, we can all go down a hallway, but if you're trying to do something like pick a lock on a chest or smash it open, you'll go to a challenge book that'll tell you what happens there. So it kind of hides some of the info from you in a fun way. And yeah, it's really all about choice. And there's also a campaign sheet, which is really cool because you're going to record certain things as they happen, and they'll come back and be relevant later, sometimes in the same adventure, sometimes several adventures later. And it can be anything from like big, world altering stuff, like whether a building burned down, or it could be as simple as like, did you open that sealed letter and read it? Or did you leave it sealed and deliver it without reading it? And
did you scratch your nose when you walked past the tree outside of Falcon's Hollow? Great. Here's what you're doing.
that is a big game ending. Yeah, don't
put
do
that
that
in the game.
Yeah.
When you get there.
Yep.
We do have a question actually that I want to ask you, since we are talking about Pathfinder Quest, and it's directly about Pathfinder Quest.
Yeah.
And you can choose to answer this with as much information as you find necessary. But it is, assuming Pathfinder Quest has a similar modular design to other board games, are there plans to release expansions for new stories and character options in the future?
So that's a great question.
Yep.
We've designed everything basically so that when this crowdfunding campaign that's about to happens, we're ready to go and get it to people as soon as possible. There are some things that we're hoping to unlock with that campaign. And then in terms of like future adventures and even more of what we've ginned up here for this game experience, we have built the game in such a way that it can be expanded upon. And what we really need to hear from you all is if you like it and what you would like to see, and to see just how it goes. So we're really looking forward to, and we've already gotten great feedback from people who've play tested it or played the demo of it, or who've watched.
Yeah,
some
we
videos.
had Katie Skitties 181 also played it and said they had a great time.
Oh, excellent. That's so good to hear.
I know, right? Well, they're all in the chat. They're here. They're hyping you up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So you heard it from Joe. Maybe we could dare us to do it. Back the campaign.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. So how we do have a lot of people in the chat talking about playing the game before. We did just do a big demo session at Gen Con. How did Gen Con go? How did that go for our playtesting and everything?
Gen Con was great. We had a bunch of wonderful, amazing people demoing the game for us, and people got to get their hands on it. They got to get some promo cards that were only available there, which is cool that they could use if they get the game and play in the game. It was great to we got to show off in one of our little corner cases. We had the Time Dragon miniature that's going to be part of the deluxe version of the game, and that everyone was like, "What's that from? How do I get that?"
It's from Pathfinder Quest.
Yes,
and you need it.
Yeah,
because it's epic.
Yeah, and
there it is. Thank you, Rue. Thank you so much.
Oh, nice. And we also had got to tell people about this sort of coin you can get if you sign up. I think you mentioned it earlier this very stream.
Yeah.
So if you sign up for the launch party and then end up backing it, you get the cool dragon coin. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, sorry.
It's right there. Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, all you have to do is join the launch party. It's really nothing. You're just clicking like one thing to join the launch party, and then when you back the game, it just automatically comes in your pledge.
It's very cool.
Yep, very cool. So yeah, there is Pathfinder Quest. Can you give us a spoiler about Pathfinder Quest? I know this is difficult because we've talked about Pathfinder Quest on many Paizo lives, and we need to make sure that we do not tell everyone the game
everything
before it happens. But can you give a fun spoiler about Pathfinder Quest before we switch gears?
There are so many things to spoil.
Only one, Joe.
So I've talked in various venues. I've talked about the achievements that you can get. So on the campaign sheet where you record kind of stuff that's happening and reference it later, there's also a list of achievements that you can check off. And if you get enough of them, then you get a special item out of the deck, and it's the only way to get that item. So one of the achievements is make a powerful enemy. And the way you do that is really funny to me. Like Jason and I were working on developing one of the adventures, and we're like, what if the consequence of this is made a powerful enemy? I should say more so that it's not such an in-joke and is not only funny to me, but I think what I'm excited for is for people to kind of come across that, do a thing that they probably shouldn't do, and then make a powerful enemy and then get an achievement for it. Like that sort of chain of events I'm very excited for. So
yeah, I mean, how many times are you playing a session with your friends and you do the thing that the GM does not want you to do, and it doesn't it just goes haywire? But in Pathfinder Quest, if you do the thing that you are not necessarily supposed to do, you could still get an achievement for that, which is awesome.
And it's just sort of emblematic of all the like silly, interesting, like heroic. It's like all kinds of stuff that we just like tucked in every corner of the game that we could. So we're very excited for people to kind of uncover all that stuff as they play. Yeah.
So before we switch over to our Q&A segment, we will remind you again, Pathfinder Quest comes to Backer Kit on September 16th. We're finally in the month of Pathfinder Quest. I feel like it's been a while, but yeah, we're finally here. We made it to September. And if you join the launch party now, you will get a Time Dragon Metal coin with your pledge once you back the actual campaign. There's also a bunch of other stuff. We've got quizzes. There's teams you can select. If your team wins at the end of the launch party, then you get a free PDF adventure of kind of the Kobold King. Like, there's so many great reasons to join the launch party. You get like potentially free adventures, have fun with other fans who are ready for Pathfinder Quest, and you get a cool free coin. So get ready for Pathfinder Quest. We're going live on September 16th. So
I know, Maya, you're really active in there.
Yeah, what's that?
When people are leaving comments and stuff in that launch party, you're like very
responsive
and like letting people know. Yeah,
I respond
really cool.
to all of the comments. I see every time anyone chooses a team. I like to know what it is. We got a lot of people who are rooting for clerics. Let's go clerics, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe is one of them. But yeah, put comments in there. Tell me something you like about the game. I will read it and I will respond to it, because that is what I do. I like seeing when people are excited about all of our games. So yeah, that is Pathfinder Quest. So now we are going to switch gears a little, bring everybody back, and have a Q&A segment about everything that we've talked about tonight. For anybody who missed our Starfinder segment, I see there are people in the comments who missed our Starfinder segment. We will be talking to Dustin again and asking some Starfinder questions again. So stay tuned after a couple more trailers, and we will see you for our Q&A. Thank you for talking, Joe.
Thank you.
Our history is one of blood. We were driven to the surface before the first dwarf saw sky, harried by violence and driven by a desperation to survive. We turned to warfare to make a home and a name for ourselves. We have always had more enemies than allies. We learned to distrust our neighbors. We became prey to subjugators. The Orcs became known as brutes, and beasts, but we have always been so much more. Now is the time to prove it. We can show the world that we aren't the monsters of their stories, but a people with a vibrant culture, worthy of praise and preservation. I, Ardax the Whitehair, invite you, people of Galarian, to Torrentmoot, taking place during the annual Flood Truce of Belkzen. You will see the beauty of the floodwaters that bring life to our lands. Celebrate and feast with us. Learn of Belkzen and the ways of the Orcs, a way of strength and prosperity. That is, if you can handle it.
We are back to the Q&A. Here we all are. Okay, I was like, it's just me. This is very interesting. Okay, welcome back, everyone, to our Q&A segment of Paizo Live. We have been gathering your questions throughout the entirety of the night, and we have put them all together. I'm going to ask them right now. So since I have just been talking, I will pass the baton over to Rue. Rue, why don't you kick off our Q&A segment?
Absolutely. I didn't get to talk to James or Joe, so I'm gonna do questions for them. We have a question from Zigrisid. There are no. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. There are no vowels in this name. How is healing handled in Dawn of the Frogs when level 1 is a little bit sparse in terms of healing? Like how can a player sort of like work around that?
That's a pretty good question. I mean, from the one of the characters that you're going to be playing is a cleric, and so somebody should play the cleric. That's kind of like tabletop gaming 101. So Kira the cleric has plenty of healing in there. There's treasure you can find as you explore, potions of healing and the like that will help you out. But it's also sort of handled in just the structure of the adventure itself. Like, I don't want to get too spoilery, but we do give advice for, like, in the first scene, you fight something. And if you roll bad or the creatures roll good or something like that and things go bad, they don't kill you. You just kind of topple backward and then you can catch your breath and try again. And there's elements where, like, townsfolk can come save you and stuff like that. So there's a bit of, like, I don't want to say safety harness or guardrails or something like that, but it's sort of like that, where there are elements built into the adventure that kind of mitigate those sorts of unusual things. As you go through the adventures more and more, those guardrails come away because you're now, have more resources, etc. It's also a case of like the second adventure I mentioned, you're going around in the swamp exploring a lot. That's basically one fight, and then you've got a long time to recover. So it's kind of the idea of like you're using your battle medicine and medicine skills and stuff to recover and all that. So it's sort of built into the adventure, but we also specifically give advice to the GMs like, hey, this is supposed to be fun. Don't try to kill your players off. If dice go bad, it's okay to, have like a townsfolk or somebody they met earlier in the adventure show up. It's like, hey, you got me out of that pit. Now I'm here to help you and stuff like that. So should work out pretty good. But we can't guard against, bad dice rolls or bad choices. So, I mean, some of it's going to be on the players.
Wild
if
point
one
of advice.
Plays a healer, expect to have some struggles.
Right. And truly wild point of advice. GMs, don't kill everyone on day one. Please don't. Let them play a little bit of the game. All right, I've got a question for Dustin. I believe this is just about Starfinder 2nd Edition in general. Can you tell us what will the level 1 experience be like?
Well, mechanically, it's very similar to Pathfinder in that if you're fighting enemies, you will be using the same sort of encounter math with enemies that use the same benchmark stats. But I do want to point out that at level 1, you have opportunities to tell stories that don't fit higher level campaigns, and you should take advantage of that. Think of your real world, and now imagine how much easier so many of your struggles would be if you had access to magic and enough money to buy a spaceship. Those struggles are the kind of obstacles you need to play a level 1 character to get through. And those are the kind of stories you could tell at level 1 that you can't necessarily tell at level 20, which also help establish backgrounds that seem like they wouldn't be as apt for a level 20 character, like making a sandwich or whatever. Being a sandwich maker. Yeah, I didn't know where I was going with that. But yeah, you know, there are just there are types of stories that are better for level 1 and types of stories that are better for level 20.
So is Sandwich Artisan a background I can take in
I was gonna
Starfinder?
I don't remember all the backgrounds.
What about sandwich warpers?
It's my turn to ask a question, and I'm over here losing my mind over Sandwich Warper.
Writing down Sandwich Warpers. It needs to be written down. I'm writing it down. Like, no one acts surprised when you see Sandwich Warpers show up in a Paizo social media post.
We have a perfect picture for it. That picture of Obadiah we showed off earlier. Maybe Zamir can help her with her sandwich.
Coming to a town near you.
I have a question for Joe from the Tepid One. And I suppose this has some prior knowledge that I don't have, but maybe you do. In terms of tie-in board games, is Pathfinder Quest anything like the D&D board games, like Castle Ravenloft?
There are a lot of similarities. You know, you're laying out tiles, you're exploring, you're fighting. I think Pathfinder Quest really focuses on your choices both as a player, like your character that you're building, and every time you finish an adventure, you'll level up and make another choice for your character as it grows. And then there's also that sort of overarching narrative that's really woven into the game. So it's a campaign really that you're playing with multiple adventures. So yeah, I think it's kind of in the middle between the sort of just like smash doors down and kill every monster in the room and then smash another door down game, and the sort of like super legacy, you know, very involved setup, lots of like nitty gritty decisions to make, and like the sort of like really deep games. And it's like right in the middle where you're mostly just making like pretty clear choices and then finding out what consequences those have. And you're doing both exploration and combat. And again, there's that sort of narrative through line. And there's a unique sort of twist at the end that I haven't seen before that I think will help set it apart a little bit. But I'm not going to talk about that, of course.
But it exists.
Yeah, but it's there.
I would like everyone to know that while we have talked about this, the chat has begun writing the background for Sandwich Artisan.
They have.
So we've got it ready for.
Thank you so much, chat. You guys are incredible and creative, and we love all of you. All right, let me ask this question for James. And I cannot say this word. Nezushalt. I did my best. They said, sorry for repeating the question, but I feel like highlight my message makes this an important one. So with alterations to adventure paths and being one book, are they going to be less deadly going forward?
That sort of element is not going to be adjusted by the adventure path being one book necessarily. I think what you are experiencing is when we switch editions, we're learning the game for the first time as well. And
right.
In particular, not just like how do characters work, how do adventures get built? How are they structured? Pathfinder 2nd edition has a very different sort of, the math is much tighter. It's if you throw something really big and mean at the party that has more immediate effects than it did in 1st edition. So it took us a few adventure paths to kind of dial in and get used to this new kind of way of building adventures. So if you're playing some of the earlier stuff like Age of Ashes or Kingmaker or Extinction Curse, they're going to be tougher just because they're a little bit more raw in our personal experience in creating these things, and of course the writers as well. The more recent adventure paths, I think that we've gone in and made them a lot more suitable for the new rules. Like Season of Ghosts, for example, is one of the newer adventure paths. We got a hardcover of that coming out. Right. I deliberately made sure that those encounters in Season of Ghosts were actually on the easier side, which is sort of a disconnect. Some people assume that horror means all the combat has to be super hard, but that's not really the case. Season of Ghosts is more about like theme and mood, whether or not you are struggling, and it's not survival horror, for example. So I think that the more recent adventure paths are going to be more lenient and more, I guess, less rough on that sort of element. But there's also an element, just as we're learning the game, when GMs and players are learning things, there's different ways that you handle healing. Healing in Pathfinder has a lot of like between encounters. You can go in and do medicine checks to do a bunch of healing and stuff like that you couldn't do in previous editions of the game. And some of that also is on GMs. Your GM needs to be aware of this, and a lot of GMs are going to make additions and changes to the games. And sometimes GM can make mistakes as well. So if you're a GM, it's really important for you to keep an eye on that experience. Talk with your players after every session. It's like, hey, how's it going? Are you enjoying this? And if you're getting the feedback, it's like every battle is a slog, we can't heal. That's something that you as the GM can jump in and adjust on the fly. So hopefully a lot of that will help. It's not going to be something that changing to a hardcover version is going to really matter for, because we're still making adventures the same way we've made them before, but we are better at it. We've learned the game more. We've learned the new rules better over the last several years.
Nice. Thank you, James.
All right. I'm going to ask the other person I didn't get to talk to. I'm going to ask Joe a question. A question about Monster Match from Kay Brown, which is, how did the idea for this game come about? Were you working in the lab late one night?
It came on in a flash. It kind of did, though, because I had it on my list of like a monster dating game was on my list of ideas, because I have to have like this big list of like what kind of games can we make that are a little different or interesting. And it was on my list because someone in the company had suggested it, and then someone else at the company suggested it like months later. And then separate from that, also there was like a meeting where it came up and people were like, oh, we should do that. And it was actually going to be like an accessory for Pathfinder at first. And then we're like, I think this is probably best served as its own like standalone game where you're just dating monsters and really diving into it, rather than it could be, like a table or like a subsystem or something. But we really wanted to like give it all the room to have all this art and like the dates and the gifts and all that stuff. So it was like everybody's idea, and everybody has like immediately glommed onto it and is very excited about it, which is awesome.
I am one of the everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, hang on. Yeah. I'm putting my hat in the ring for excitement.
I have over 20 hours in base Monster Prom.
Nice.
And I'm going to have 20 hours in Monster Match real soon.
All right. We've got a question as well. Another one it says James and Dustin from Loremonger the 13th. Given some cool new rules introduced in Starfinder 2e, what are some things that you feel would be good to integrate into Pathfinder in future books? Example, the traversal trait in regards to movement abilities.
I'll start out. For me, robots and lasers, those are elements that are really fun. You just look back at Expedition of the Barrow Peaks or Might and Magic or Thundar the Barbarian or all these different elements where science fiction crashes into the fantasy setting is one of my favorite genre mashups. And that's why we have this realm Numeria in Pathfinder. And it's a place where a spaceship crashed there thousands of years ago. And now there's robots and lasers and cyborgs and space aliens and all sorts of stuff like that in there. We can't do that without rules for robots and space lasers and all of that stuff. We have them now. So we can do something. It's not going to be Iron Gods 2, but I have for many, many, many years since I did Iron Gods had an idea in my head for this would be a cool sequel to have something happen after Iron Gods, a new story that builds on that in a different way. Whether or not we do that, we now have the tools that we can do something with that. So that's what I'm excited about. I mean, Iron Gods came out before Starfinder was even around, and so it's fun to have that whole circle come all the way back. And robots, more robots, please.
And now we've set ourselves up for success in terms of creating more
robots.
Yes, exactly. Alrighty, and so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to take the mechanical side of things, just to throw this in real quick.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Traversal is not already in the. I can't see us putting something like traversal into Pathfinder, since it would be a core assumption. That would be the kind of thing that would have to be in a player core. That said, if you are using Pathfinder material that you believe this should work while you fly, there's no reason I can't charge at somebody and hit them while I'm flying. And you're in Starfinder where everyone's flying through the air in jetpacks, yeah, you could talk to your GM and ask, can this have traversal? And if I were the GM, I'd say yes. But those are the kind of things that you could find in the GM core, where there's lots of information on how to apply stuff beyond the
She's
gap.
available now.
Yeah.
She is. She's available as of Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, thank you, Dustin.
Fancy.
So fancy. Alrighty, so we are coming towards the end of our Paizo Live, so we are going to ask one final excellent question, and this one is in honor of Ovozaya being a dual-class sandwich warper. What is everyone's favorite sandwich? Let's start, I don't know, let's start with Rue, I guess, and then we'll just go clockwise.
Yeah. There is a local sandwich shop in the, not quite in the town that I live in. It's technically the next town over, but whatever. And they have a sandwich that is it's toasted, and it's a fillet of chicken breast with grilled onions, grilled peppers, and cream cheese. And so it's kind of like a Philly cheesesteak, but if you made it with chicken instead. And it's delicious. And every time I go there, I'm like, maybe I'll get a different sandwich. And then I go up to the front and I'm like, I'd like the same sandwich I've ordered the last 25 times I've been here, please. So that's my favorite sandwich.
Nice. Joe, what's your favorite sandwich?
I'm gonna go basic and say a nice grilled cheese, maybe with a little fancy cheese and QP mayo. Which
QP mayo.
Discovered late in life, but yeah, that's my go-to.
Nice. And what about you, Dustin? What's your favorite sandwich?
Sitting in this chair, a Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Do you have a different favorite sandwich when you're not the leader of the Aslanti Star Empire?
Right.
It's a peanut butter avocado morning breakfast sandwich. It's really easy to make and throw together. But probably still the Monte Cristo, actually. If I could get that instead just as easily, yeah, sure, why not? It's just such a hassle to make.
And James, what's your favorite sandwich?
So sandwiches is one of my favorite foods. So all sandwiches are equally placed in second place to me, but first place is hands down, no contest, abalone sandwich.
Oh,
which is
like the seafood?
Yes, it's a big old giant snail, and you hit it with a spiked ham. That's actually, side note, my dad's a fisherman, and we'd go down and catch abalones on the rocks when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And the abalone steaks are so tough because it's just one giant, enormous muscle. Before you cook, you have to tenderize it with a big metal hammer with spikes, and you just bang, 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 tenderize it. Then you fry it up. And then the next day you've got food left over and you put it on a sandwich with some tartar sauce, and it's the best.
That sounds so delicious.
Side note, that is where the Earthbreakers inspiration came from.
I was going to say, did you put this in the game?
Yeah, I put Earthbreakers into my homebrew campaign ages ago because seeing my dad hammer the hell out of this piece of meat on the counter.
Absolutely.
That would work pretty good if you give it to huge hulking barbarian. And
before
James, yeah.
Are you gonna handshaking being from Northern California coastal communities. Because you said abalone sandwich and I was like, yes.
They're sort of endangered now, so it's kind of sinful to eat them, and you can't really get them anymore, so I miss them. But
yeah,
I actually just went back home to visit my parents last week, and they were talking about the abalone season is delayed for another 7 years.
Yeah.
Good for the abalones, but oh man.
Yeah. I've only ever had the tiny ones in Korean porridge. I've never had a large abalone. I've only ever had little itty bitty ones in
California ones are huge.
Yeah, I've never even I didn't know they came in huge.
Oh yeah, over a foot across.
Yeah, that is wild. That is wild. And so I will contrast James heavily and say that I actually eat sandwiches so few, like I probably eat maybe 3 sandwiches a year. I know. Yeah, James is like, I can't believe. Yeah, me and bread have a very complicated relationship. I just don't really like bread very much,
Sure.
which also I realize I'm in the like minority of people. But I'm out here eating other stuff. But so I have a very boring sandwich, but I love her. It's just a classic tuna sandwich from Pret a Manger. When I was living in London, I survived on this sandwich because it's like 2 pounds and it's a baguette with tuna salad and cucumbers and nothing else. But it just hits the spot. Something is just nice and fresh about tuna and cucumbers. You just can't go wrong with it. And the baguette is just a great bread for that because it doesn't overwhelm the tuna and cucumbers. And it's just a vibe. Every once in a while, I just get my little. I try to make it at Subway. It doesn't quite hit because it's not a baguette, but it's still good because tuna and cucumbers. You just can't go wrong. Alrighty. Well, yes, thank you to everyone for telling us your sandwiches, statting the sandwich warper in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for doing that and enjoying our Friday Paizo Live. This has been a really fun Friday talking to you about all of our fun new games coming up. All of our recent releases, Pathfinder Down to the Frogs, Starfinder GM Core, the upcoming Monster Match, as well as, of course, Pathfinder Quest, which, again, will be launching on BackerKit on September 16th. Join the launch party, which you can do so now. And if you do join the launch party, you will get a free Time Dragon metal coin when you pledge the actual campaign. And you can join a team for fun trivia questions about all the world of Pathfinder and some cool Paizo stuff. And if your team wins all of those quizzes and things, you will win a free PDF of the Crown of the Kobold King adventure. So go ahead and join Pathfinder Quest. Get excited about the game. It's super, super fun. We will have more information for you on the launch party page as well as our social media. So thank you, everyone, for coming and having a fun Paizo Live with us.
And thank you to all of our creatives for taking time out of their busy schedules to talk to us. We appreciate it so much. And I'm going to add on to the Pathfinder Quest train. If you want to see me, Maya, Joe, and Thirsty on Monday, we'll be doing some more mini painting for Pathfinder Quest. So you can come and hang out while Thurston and I paint minis.
And we'll be answering some more questions about the game and getting all excited because it'll be only like a week away at that point. So
yeah,
come and join us on Monday. We will see you guys. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend, everybody. Play games. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.